You're listening to the Cryptid Creature Show. If you're a fan of the show, go and check out our new Patreon site. You'll get access to our private Discord server, exclusive merchandise, access to all live streams and Q&As, discounts on merch from the Cryptid Creature store, and get a chance to be a guest host during one of the show's recordings. Just go to www.patreon.com/cryptidcreatures. Thank you for listening and supporting the show.
What I saw, more of what I could identify as a modern-day Gigantopithecus. Cinnamon dark fur, very muscular. The musculature was ridiculous. The definition, it blew our minds how muscular it was, and it just looked at us and made a noise, and the noise was like a grunt and a hoot at the same time. It stormed down the hill at, I'd say, it took him about 5 or 6 steps to get about 40 yards.
So this is the Cryptid Creature Show. I am Brian, and with me as always my co-host Todd. What's up, buddy?
Brian, have you been watching the news lately and watching about these dire wolves that they're bringing back?
I saw that.
What do you think
Why
about
would they
that?
do that? I think it's a bad idea. I think we don't need to be playing God.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you, but it is pretty cool in a way.
It is cool. I mean, they're cute little things too.
I don't know what the difference is between...
They're so freaking adorable.
They are. I don't know what the difference is between a dire wolf and a regular wolf. I always thought that a dire wolf was like way bigger. Maybe like a 250
They are bigger. I was
pound.
just starting to read something. I didn't get to finish it because we had Jeff on here, but I will finish reading it. And it said something about the dire wolves aren't really wolves.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to finish reading that. Get back to you on it.
What I've seen is they're white and
they're bigger.
They kind of have like a more flared mane, and they're supposed to be bigger. But the way they were talking, and the way that these puppies that they have, these 3 puppies that they have, they expect them to be like 150 pounds, and anywhere from 4 to 6 feet long. That's a regular
just like
wolf.
a regular wolf. Yeah.
But what they did do, I was watching something today on social media, because everything's true on social media.
Of course.
Somehow they use the stem cells to take from these dire wolves they found frozen, whatever have you, and to manipulate those into current wolf to replicate that cell every time. So when impregnation happens, that cell produces that, not a regular wolf cell. Also heard, next they're going to try a mammoth, because they have elephants, right? So if you want to bring back a creature...
Well, they started with the mammoth. That's how they got to the wolves.
Okay, but they haven't done a mammoth yet, though, right?
Yeah, that's what they started with.
There's a living mammoth out there, baby mammoth out there?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Where's it at?
Probably got it locked up.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
Well,
That's
no
what they
mammoth.
talked about. I don't know. It's crazy. I agree with you. We should be bringing it back. Next thing you know, we're going to have T-Rexes running around the earth.
They made a movie about that.
Jurassic Park, man.
Yeah. Did we learn nothing from Jurassic Park?
We've talked about this before, though. Things that happen are things that are discussed, made movies about, talked about, books written about. So you never know. Anyway, enough blabbing on about that. Tonight, we're going to bring on Chad. And Chad had a Bigfoot experience.
Good old Chad.
He had a Bigfoot experience, I believe, while he was doing some military training or in the Army or something like that out in the woods. And him and his buddies ran into something crazy. So let's not waste any more time. Are you ready to bring Chad on?
Yep, let's get him.
Chad, thanks for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it, brother.
Oh man, I am so excited to be here. I'm just ecstatic to get my voice heard, especially on the subject of Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Man, this is a great opportunity, and I'm just truly grateful to be here, man. It's awesome.
We're excited to have you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thank you. So, Chad, we know you had an experience back in 2012. You were in the military, was that right?
It was only for a brief period. I had gotten a hernia after AIT and then had a long, medical discharge process. But I was fortunate enough, just to meet a lot of great guys and, have a lot of fun in it and learn a few things and whatnot. But then I went back to college, did retail and sales for like 12 years. But yeah, man, it was a very profound experience. But yeah, whatever you'd like to know. And it was quite interesting because there were other sightings out in that particular area. So it's a very common theme in that area too. It's kind of weird.
What area are we talking about? Can you give us more detail?
The north side of Fort Benning, Georgia, Sand Hill area.
Okay.
There's a natural spring out there, and I commented on that post regarding natural springs. There's a kind of a correlation between Bigfoot sightings and natural spring water, and you'll see a lot higher concentration of those sightings near natural springs, especially near where I live. But yeah, Columbus, Georgia, and Fort Benning, there's a natural spring in that particular area, and that's where several sightings have occurred, especially in the past couple of years. There have been a few sightings in that same exact area.
Actually, we've been hearing a lot about Georgia having a lot of sightings going on lately, haven't we, Brian? It's just kind of weird.
Yeah, we have.
Okay, why don't you take us back to that day, Chad, what you were doing, what was going on, and then what happened and what you guys saw and what you experienced?
Okay, so I'd say it was probably about like week 2 of basic training, week 3 or something like that. It was really hot. It was really humid. I'd say about 100 degrees, 60% humidity. We're sweating our ass off. We're getting smoked every day. And we're on our way to the land navigation course. So we get there, we get our compasses, we get our plots, we have these coordinates that we have to find, and we go around finding these posts and whatnot, set our coordinates or whatever, plotting these azimuths, so on and so forth. So we're learning a little bit about, navigating the land, so to speak. And, it was quite fun actually, but, we had a 2-hour course or what have you. And then after that, they just sent us out there and we did what we had to do. And, we just walked around and plotted our course. The area we were located in on Sand Hill is, a very thick, hard red clay. It's very hilly and very piney, a lot of piney woods in that area. So we're going through a lot of hills. And, so one of my battle buddies, I'm with 2 other guys. We have just gotten past our 3rd pillar and we're about to head towards the 4th and then make our way back. As we're walking, one of my friends, he breaks his ankle or hurts his ankle, and we have to check it. He sprained it, whatever. We wrap it up. We help him up the hill. We go about 25 yards, up an incline of about 20 degrees or whatever on a hill. And we start hearing noises. And my other friend to the next to me, he's a lot taller than me. I'm 5'8". My friend, the friend to the right of me, he's about, I'd say 6'3", 6'4", about 220. Pretty solid dude. And he said, "Did you hear anything?" And I said, "Yeah, I heard something snapping in the distance." And it wasn't a small branch or anything like that. It was a powerful snap. And this was about 100 yards away from us. We started to detect that movement. We kind of go up a little bit of hill. We carry our injured friend up a little bit. And we rested this pine tree, a really big pine tree. And we start to notice a smell. I don't know if you recall my comment, but the smell, it was almost as if you had walked past a dead animal that was in a stagnant little puddle for a week or so. It was very putrid. It wasn't as skunky as it was musky, if that makes any sense to you guys. And the musky smell, that's what hits you. It just hits you in the face. It punches you. And we're kind of starting to shake at this point. We're worried we don't have any weapons. We don't have our phones. We have a backpack and a compass and a piece of paper. That's it. So we're hearing these noises. I'm like, "Hey, is this a bear? Is this a mountain lion? What the heck's going on, guys?" And all of a sudden we see some smaller pine trees rustling in the distance. I'd say about 20, 30 yards away. We look at one another, then all of a sudden, about 10 meters away from us, it pops out clearly. It steps out and looks at us. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with different museums and how they have different sculptures of or taxidermed replicas of different primates and what have you. But what I saw later found out was more of what I could identify as a modern day Gigantopithecus, if you're familiar with such. It's exactly what I see in the museum, man. It just cinnamon dark fur, very muscular. The musculature was ridiculous. The definition, it blew our minds how muscular it was, and it just looked at us and made a noise, and the noise was like a grunt and a hoot at the same time. And you know how they hoop and howl, like the howls and the loud noises, like you've heard on some of the Bigfoot shows on like Discovery Channel or Travel Channel, or what have you. And it was kind of like just a grunt and let you know, hey, I'm here, you're here. And it stormed down the hill at, I'd say, it took him about 5 or 6 steps to get about 40 yards. And it crossed the road, went up the hill. We just stood there for a little bit. My friend to the left of me, who was injured on the tree, leaning up against it, he had fainted. And my friend next to me, he was shaking uncontrollably. And I was shaking a little bit, but I was like, hey, that was not a bear. That was not a mountain lion. That was not an ape. That was not a man in a suit, because it's too damn hot for it. And you'd have to be on 2.5 foot tall stilts to be 9 foot tall, walking at an incline. So I think the whole suit thing is a bunch of nonsense. The smell, the sight, everything, the features on it, everything was just so realistic. It was a truly surreal experience.
How far away do you think you were from the creature, you said?
It progressed a little bit here and there during the entire interaction, but the closest it got, I would say, if I had to guess, the closest it got was about, I'd say, 8 to 10 meters, and looked dead at us. But the first, like, when it became visible, it looked at us and hid a little bit, and then it moved up a little bit, and then moved out into visibility again slightly, and then directly just stared at us and just looked at us for roughly 20 seconds, and then made that noise. And it reverberated, man. It was a big organism. I'm saying 24 to 26 inch footprints too. It left an impression. And in Georgia clay at that time of year, Georgia clay is very hard. And it was about 2 or 3 inches deep in that Georgia clay. So I'm guessing about 1,000 pounds, 1,200 pounds, 8.5, 9 foot tall.
I would say all of 9 foot tall, probably.
9 foot, closer to 9 foot. Closer to 9 foot, but man, it was when I say petrified, man, we could not move. And the funny thing is, whenever I informed my senior drill instructor of the experience behind closed doors, and I told him, I was like, look, my grandfather was a gunsmith. I've been hunting and fishing all my life. I grew up in the outdoors. Me and my father did competition shooting. We hunted and fished all the time. And I knew what I saw was a living organism. I knew that it was not somebody in a suit. The feeling of fear that we had, there's no way it wasn't a real living being. And it was quite a compelling experience. And but the drill sergeant told me, he said, well, one of my friends in my former unit is also a drill instructor, a couple battalions over, a couple buildings over. And he said that he had a sighting 2 months prior. And he said his sighting was virtually identical to the one I had. So, and there was a recent sighting I saw in the news in Georgia, in Columbus, Georgia, being a hot spot lately. And in Fort Benning, there was a soldier who recorded one, and this was 2 years ago. And in the same exact area, I believe.
I think sometimes we hear about these hot spots and they change. Like I said earlier, we're hearing a lot more and more about Georgia sightings. I think these things kind of find out and they travel around. You know, they might be in an area that becomes overpopulated, gets too close to their environment, and they got to move. And I think that a lot of these things are realizing that that area of Georgia is so desolate, and it is. I mean, if you drive to, If you're in the north, say Indiana, like we are, and you drive down to Florida, Georgia's like the most longest, boring state because there's nothing going on after you get south of Atlanta.
Once you get past it.
So I think these things are figuring out where these real desolate places are that are still wooded and migrating to there.
Yeah. So you're from Indiana, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me check your Facebook Messenger. I sent you a picture. My friend has a game. An old Army friend of mine actually has a game farm in Indiana, Turwell Game Farms, and this trail camera. You can edit that name out if you want to.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, you can check that picture on your Facebook Messenger that I sent you. And on the bottom far right is an infrared thermal pic taken at night or early in the morning. And you can see the head slightly turning when the picture is snapped. I don't know if you can notice that or not. But that was taken in southern Indiana, where they've got a lot of big deer, and they like to predate on the deer and all the other small mammals out there. They predominantly eat deer and beaver.
Are you talking about the one that says 7:04 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I've seen this before, but I'm 90% of the time I'm the guy that said when I see something I'm like, I don't think that's real. But I'm looking at this now and looking at the hands. Brian, I'll send this to you.
They're huge.
And we can the detail of them, I can see some fingers there. So we can post this when we release this episode. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it does kind of look like it's turning its head. So
And
if it's not a costume, if it's a costume, they did their homework for sure. I'll tell you.
Oh my God, that would have taken years to complete something that intricate. I guarantee you. I've worked with a few people that do that kind of thing, and there's no possible way you can recreate the muscularity of that animal.
Right.
It's not possible.
The only thing I will say, and I'm not trying to discredit anybody out there, is this AI opens up so many doors these days. And,
I despise AI. I despise it because it makes people like me seem not only incredible, but it makes us seem like we're just nobodies out there just talking nonsense. And I was an agricultural science major, like I was a political science and mass communications minor like I'm an educated human being. I used to compete in public speaking competitions. I'm an intellectual human being, and I grew up in the outdoors. I know what I saw was a living organism, but I know it wasn't something that is currently recognized. And there are other states that are starting to kind of be suspiciously acknowledging that. And there's signs of Sasquatch crossings popping up all over. And there's some hot spots in my area, I'd say about 45 minutes northeast of me, where I'm located. And there's a lot of sightings in that area. And I even met a BFRO guy when I was a vehicle salesman. I worked at a Nissan dealership in Southeast Texas. And he was a BFRO guy, and he had sightings at least once every other year.
Wow.
And it was a natural, and guess again, it was a natural spring area called Artesian Springs in Newton, Texas.
Yeah, the more that we look into these things, one thing that we've realized is that if there's river systems, they're following these things. I mean, I was looking at some maps the other day about Oregon and the Blue Mountains and stuff, and reading some reports about an area out there. And
I would love to go to Oregon, man. I've already got a crew assembled, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, do you? Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll come.
Oh, trust me, I've already recruited a couple of people, former military, this, that, and the other. I have a biologist on standby. I'm legitimately trying to get this done to prove that they exist.
Yeah, call us before you call the government.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I can't wait for it.
So, did you remember any details of this thing's face? I know you're kind of far away, but could you make out any details of this thing?
Oh no, it wasn't far. Like it got within between 10 to 8 meters. Like I have good vision, but it was close. Like it was like I'd say 8 meters. I'd say the closest it got was about 8 meters. Whenever it made the noise, it just tiptoed a little bit at a time, but it got close enough to where we were so uncomfortable we thought we were going to die. and the smell was horrible, and the way it looked. If you go on Google, type in Gigantopithecus. Just type in Gigantopithecus.
Okay.
And search images and have fun with that.
That's what you saw.
Yes. Not the one. There's a couple different iterations of it. And some of the different sculptures have like orangutan-like cheeks. No. Check your messenger. And the one that has more like the gorilla-like face, it wasn't quite like the fat cheeks of an orangutan, but it was more of a muscular, like a tight, muscled jawline. But the conical head was still present. It was still conical at the top of the head, more cinnamon dark colored fur, but blackish brown throughout the musculature of the torso in that area. But if you look up Gigantopithecus, that's pretty much what I saw. But it did seem a little bit more muscular, and the fur was more matted and less prevalent. It was a little bit shorter fur.
Would you say this thing looked more like a monkey, or did it look more human?
Not more human. Not more human. It was definitely primate. It was not a human. It was humanoid, as in if it was it was definitely bipedal. But they are capable of moving on all fours, which is kind of creepy. I've seen some of the footage. It's kind of scary. They are bipedal, and they are primate. It's almost as if you took, it's really hard to describe. The closest description I can get is there's about 4 or 5 different styles of renditions of the Gigantopithecus. And the closest one is closer to some of the ones that I showed you with the shorter fur in those pictures that I sent you. But yeah, Gigantopithecus, a little bit shorter fur, a little bit more muscular. That's what I saw.
Okay, gotcha. So
the musculature, like when I tell you they were muscular, and I've heard stories of them dismembering people in like Alaska, Russia, Siberia, parts of Mongolia. There's been stories of these people getting like kidnapped and just dismembered and not even eaten, just dismembered and crushed. Yeah. I know there was a town in Alaska that had like 20 people mysteriously disappear and all their limbs were missing from their body when they were recovered.
Did you grow up in Georgia?
No, I'm from Southwest Louisiana. I'm from Lake Charles area. Yeah, I'm from Lake Charles, Louisiana, and I grew up hunting, fishing, everything. If you could shoot it or fish it, that's it. Me and my dad hunted all the time growing up, and we lived off the land, man. And I grew up eating wild game and weird stuff that normal people wouldn't eat. And but I've heard some things growing up over the years and smelled some things, but not quite like what I experienced that day.
Chad, before this happened, did you believe in Bigfoot, or did you think about Bigfoot at all?
Yes, 100,000%.
Okay.
I was always searching for it.
What made you start believing in it or realizing that it could be out there?
I just watched a lot of History Channel and Discovery Channel and different programs on like Travel Channel and a few other things and a few books that I'd read. Actually, I read a few primate books, and I'd seen in a primate book that my grandfather had owned, and it stated under Gigantopithecus, it was a primate encyclopedia. I had a dinosaur encyclopedia, primate, Audubon Society, bird guide, you name it. Scientifically speaking, animal-wise, I had it. But in the primate guide, it showed under Gigantopithecus, there was another hyphenated section that showed Bigfoot. And from what I've been told from other friends of mine that work within the government, I'm not going to say any names, but they know they exist. I will put it that way.
The thing that cracks me up, and you believe these are Gigantopithecus descendants, and I probably believe that theory too. You know, people believe that Gigantopithecus existed because science says they did, because they found jawbones and says that these were these creatures off of jawbone. They don't believe Bigfoot because no one's come forward with a body or a body part, right? So if we were to find a jawbone, let's say in a cave somewhere in Tennessee, that we said, oh, this is, whatever, this isn't human. Would people believe that it's a Bigfoot? What do you think they would think about that?
Okay. So my belief is, unless we have a dead or live captured specimen, they're not going to believe us. So my opinion is, and from what I've heard and observed and seen over different pages and different groups on Facebook and watching all the different television shows that I've watched over it, and from hearing from one of my friends who works for the BFRO, he's a BFRO guy. He works with some of the guys over there in Southeast Texas, and he's the head of the chapter over there. He actually bought a car from me. Cool guy. He told me that they burn their bodies. So the reason why we have trouble finding their bodies, they either toss them in the lake, they either toss them into a body of water, they wrap them, they let them decompose. That's a theory, because some bones have been found. They let them decompose and then toss their bones into the bottom of a body of water, or they know how to create fire, because there have been teepees. I'm not sure if you're familiar with all the different structures that they are capable of creating, but I have personally seen one of the teepee structures, and it's quite a marvel to see, actually.
Do you believe in any of the what they call the woo factor or the paranormal side of Bigfoot, talking about how they can cloak, how they can change their energy, become orbs, what all that stuff? I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Okay.
So there's more of a more alien connection than there is a paranormal. So there was, this is kind of a long story. I'm going to go as fast as possible on this one. So I saw a documentary from the late 1970s, early 1980s. You may have seen this also. It was on the History Channel, and there was a Native American chief being interviewed. During this interview, this chief stated that there was a war between the sky people and the hairy people and the giants and the humans. So the hairy people were Sasquatch. The giants were the Nephilim. And I'm sure your Cryptid Creatures podcast, you should know of the Nephilim. So apparently, there are 4 species of alien recognized by the U.S. government due to a 40-year-old Air Force regulation chapter, apparently in their guidebook. And there's 4 recognized species of aliens. Well, one of these species of aliens kidnapped all the Nephilim, and they went to war with the Sasquatch Native Americans, and humans were kind of involved also. So there's a reason why there's so very few Sasquatches now, and there's very few traces of ancient civilizations due to this war. That's what I heard during this podcast. It's an old interview, but it was almost 2 hours long, and I was shaking at the end of it. Yeah, I'm more alien connected than I am paranormal. But don't get me wrong, I do believe in like spirits and the supernatural and different portals, dimensions, and interdimensional beings. Maybe they could be, or the whole skinwalker thing, maybe that's something connected too. I'm not sure. But I know what I saw was a living organism.
So do you think the government knows about these things, and are they covering it up, if so?
Oh, 100% they know they exist. 100,000% they know they exist. And I've been told from several government officiates. I have a friend that had an encounter with his camper. He's a pipeliner, and his trailer was a rockin' one night, apparently. We can get into that in a little bit too, but with Bigfoot, though, I think that they have, I think they've been seen more frequently. I think there's something else going on, and I do think that there's another connection between the development of humankind and how we've advanced, and we're going to see them more often because we are invading their territory. So I have a question for you. Have you seen the movie on Amazon Prime? It's called That Thing in the Woods.
That Thing in the Woods, or The Thing in the Woods?
Yeah, The Thing in the Woods.
I may have seen something like that.
I haven't heard of that one.
So I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of it, and it's very compelling, and I've actually heard the story from the guy himself. And I went to a BFRO meeting one time, and it was just so powerful to hear it. And this gentleman was in Oregon. He was working, he moved his family up there for his logging job. He found a nice area, whatever, and bought a house, nice property, had a little farm set up or whatever. He started experiencing a lot of activity. And by activity, I mean a lot of noises, a lot of knocking, a lot of dead animals and dead chickens. One of his pigs was dragged, like there was a puddle of blood somewhere. There was no trace of the pig, but the pig had been dragged. He saw where the pig had been dragged or whatever. And then he found the pig impaled in the tree or whatever. And he had, done a little bit of hunting and fishing or whatever. He killed a pig to lure it out or whatever, and the carcass was gone or whatever. They kept hearing noises at night. They kept seeing things in the middle of the night through their window. And one night, the Bigfoot, there were two of them, a couple of them actually, and one of them was harassing the family, the wife, the two children, in the house. And the husband went out to investigate, and apparently he went to the barn, and the Bigfoot cornered him. He had a revolver with him, and the revolver misfired, and the Bigfoot just screamed in his face and just yelled at him and grabbed him and lifted him up and then threw him. From what he told us, the movie, he just gets screamed at. But yeah, and then as soon as the Sasquatch left the barn with him, the female left also and left the family alone in the house and quit trying. Apparently broke some windows and stuff trying to get in the house. So the next day they pack their stuff, they leave. They come back 4 days later and the house is completely ransacked, destroyed. Everything is demolished. And they take what they can and they just leave. So he said everything in the house was destroyed. The Bigfoots did not want them there. And the constant sightings that they had, it disturbed them. And just having the full-on encounter of the Bigfoot just in his face, he said he will never forget that for the rest of his life. And it just grabbed him. And he said it literally just picked him up and looked at him and just threw him. I will never underestimate that. And after seeing that movie and seeing what they could, and I've heard stories of what they're capable of, the violence that they're capable of. And I personally don't want to encounter one that close again without a firearm. I was unarmed. I was completely unarmed my first encounter. I had a compass, a backpack with some stuff in it, and a paper. That is it. If I was armed, I would have shot it. If not, I was just petrified. I really was.
Chad, do you want to see another one?
Do I want to see another one and trap it or capture it and prove that they exist? Yes, I will do it one more time, but only for that sole purpose. I would like to do it and to prove that they exist. And, I might want to keep doing it after that, and I might want to go on another BFRO thing. But having an experience whenever you're unarmed and without contact from the outside world, that's what made it the most frightening. Usually, if I'm in the woods, I have a phone, I have a pistol, and I have a rifle or a shotgun. So usually, I'm armed whenever I go into the woods. But not having a phone, not having a firearm, I felt completely defenseless. And if it wanted to kill me, then it could have. Have you or your partner ever seen a Bigfoot?
Not that I know of. Brian, have you?
No, not yet.
We're trying.
Well,
We're trying. We believe they exist. I mean, there's no way that all these people are lying.
Well, I've got a hot spot in my area called Artesian Springs. It's in Newton, Texas. I can take y'all there. It's a big hot spot out there. And if y'all ever want to come down here and want to go squatching, there's about 3 or 4 different areas I could take y'all.
What part of Texas is that in?
That is in southeast Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in southeast Texas, near the, it's about 20 minutes north of Silsbee, Texas. I'd say about an hour north of, 40 minutes north of Beaumont, Texas.
Yep. Texas is another big hot spot. I mean, eastern Texas for sure.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. I mean, anywhere there's a collection of woods, a huge collection of woods and water.
I've heard rumors that they, along with the spring water rumor, that they tend to go to areas where they can be the most concealed. They don't want to be seen. They do not want to be seen by us. And if they are seen by us, they're either letting us know rather, that, hey, don't come in my area. This is my territory. Or, hey, leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. So what's your belief on, have either of you seen UFOs?
No, I haven't, but I believe in UFOs. I definitely believe in them. There's something, they're out there. We're seeing these things flying around, and the craziness is, we've never heard of anything crashing because of UFO or anything like that, other than planes come up missing, just disappearing. But yeah, we definitely believe in aliens and UFOs. Sure.
Yeah. So there's this guy that was on Joe Rogan recently, the colonel of a U.S. squadron of F-18s, and he was a colonel in the U.S. Navy. And I can't remember his name, but he had glasses on. He was on Joe Rogan. And one of my friends from college was in that squadron during that particular encounter. And he had stated that the craft had moved at such a speed. He's like, their equipment could not track the full speed capabilities of them. He said they were just moving so erratically they couldn't do anything. He said there was nothing that they could do to keep up with them.
We've known that we've perceived that aliens have existed ever since the early 50s. That when it's funny when television and radio becomes about and people can talk to each other. But I bet you go back in time, people probably have documented and written about these things, right? Back before
they have, and the funny thing is the documents are out there.
So my question is this: if they've been around so long, why haven't they made contact? Why haven't they done anything? What are they waiting for?
Okay, I'm about to blow your mind. They have made contact. So here's a quick synopsis. Go to American Horror Story. There's a series about aliens in that particular series from American Horror Story, and one of the seasons is relating to aliens. And there is some classified documents that were released that were relating to a certain president, U.S. president, having a contract with a specific race of alien. And yes, they do exist. I have a friend who worked in 51, 52, S4, and Los Alamos. Aliens do exist. But yes, they had a contract with the aliens to where they could abduct up to 2,000 human subjects per year. And that's for the next God knows how many years or whatever. And by that term, they leave us alone, but they give us their technology. And so that's how we have advanced our technology, both cellular phones or cell phones, airplanes, things of that nature. We have advanced our technology by having their technology in our possession. That's my opinion.
Okay. Nobody knows, right? I mean...
Yeah, and Teddy Roosevelt even had contact with both aliens and Sasquatch, supposedly.
He did. Teddy Roosevelt was he was a cool president, from what it sounds. I mean, he believed in that stuff anyway.
Yeah, apparently he had 2 UFO encounters and a couple Sasquatch encounters, and got shot twice.
Yeah, he was a rebel, man. Well, Chad, we want to thank you for being on with us tonight, man. We appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, man. I am so grateful. If y'all want to have me on again, I'm more than welcome to just come on here and talk about whatever y'all want to talk about, most definitely. I appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your thoughts about Bigfoot and your encounter.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate y'all for having me on, and y'all have a great afternoon, great evening, guys, and y'all take care.
All right, Chad, you too, buddy.
Chad, thanks.
See ya. Man, can you imagine being out in the middle of the woods in the dark like that, having that experience happen? I mean, those guys had to be freaked out.
Right,
just
man.
no weapons at all, right? No weapons at all. Just their backpacks and whatever they could to survive out there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's cool having Chad on and talking about that.
Yeah, it was.
We always like to hear the Bigfoot encounters, and we haven't had a ton lately, but we're working on those coming back. If you guys have had an encounter and would love to be on the show, had a sighting, please get a hold of us.
Yep, you can hit us in the email at info@cryptidcreatures.co.
Or you can reach out to us at cryptidcreatures.net. So,
That's right.
All right, Brian, It's awesome hanging out with you, my friend, as always.
Always fun, brother. Always learning.
I know we are. We always are learning new stuff every day.
Yeah.
So crazy, man. Maybe one day we can figure this out.
Maybe.
All right, brother. Till next time, I will see you later.
Yep. See ya.